just have to start it. Off to a great start.
Hello and welcome to Crackin' Crime. I'm your host, Jamie Tilson.
I'm your co-host, Seth Tilson.
And I'm the bonus guy, Jacob Estel Tilson.
Co-host. Thank you for listening to our porno intro.
Seth loves it. I want to change it, but then he's like, no, oh no. And I'm like, all right, well, sure.
I already know for a fact that it caught the, hello, we have to start the podcast like this. As you just press the button, so.
Oh no.
Well, we're off to a great start.
We're off to a great start. Man, it's been a little while that we've been putting some stuff out, so we're trying to throw some stuff together and have some fun. So we got some new episodes coming back. Everything
Stop
okay
fiddling with that thing. We can all hear it.
Edit that too.
Is everything good over there now?
Yeah, it was a little wobbly. I just want to make sure I tightened it.
Okay.
Maybe you should have done that before we started.
Lots of editing.
Lots of it. All right. So it's been a little while since we've been putting some stuff out. Glad to be coming back with some fresh new content.
First episode in a while. Feels good to be back.
It does feel good to be back.
No, not really.
Every time
Well,
someone says
you know what?
It feels good to do anything, all I think of is Austin Powers. Yes, Preparation H does feel good on the whole.
Oh, man. All right, if you're just joining us or you're just tuning in, welcome. We appreciate you guys finding our podcast. Make sure that you're going and you're liking the episodes. Give us 5 stars. Leave us a comment of some kind. It helps the algorithms. We don't understand it, but it does definitely help out. So make sure you're doing that for us. That helps us huge. Go check us out, everything on all of our social medias. Everywhere that you got social media, everything's at Crackin' Crime. So we got the Facebook. We got the X. We got Instagram.
The gram.
We've been posting pictures
Let's
of Seth.
stick to calling it the Twitter.
The Twitter?
Can't do that.
The tweeter, I
not
guess you
accurate.
call it.
What's not accurate about
It's
MySpace?
not Twitter or Tweeter anymore. It's X.
It is
It's not
X.
accurate. You can't call it Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can call it Twitter all you want, but for some reason a billionaire bought it and decided to change the name. And we're still all there. But it is what it is.
Stop messing with it.
You stop doing what you're doing over there.
That's why I have this right here. People can't see that at home, but yeah. So stop.
People can't see
Hey.
what I'm doing at home either. Only you can.
Well, I can describe it. It'll take an hour
It'll
though.
probably be weird because it's a ball and I'm gently caressing it.
Well, that was definitely awkward.
Only Seth could turn something as normal.
Only Seth.
Giggity.
Giggity.
Who else but Seth? It's Seth. You never really know him. Oh, I have to.
Moving on.
Moving on. No, I think it's good. No, Jacob was killing it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's fine. But
Everything, all of our social medias, everything. Also, you want to check out our website. It's tilsoncustoms.com. That has all of our podcast stuff all over it.
Oh, Seth. So, what do you think we're doing today?
probably a freestyle on a state. I'd guess Kansas.
Oh my goodness.
He's getting better.
He's getting better.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he put that
Nothing to do
together.
with the TV behind you at all.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Kansas, the state crime.
That's right.
Are we
Very
gonna
good.
count? Are we cutting Kansas City down the middle?
What's that?
Are we cutting Kansas City down the
Yes.
middle, or are we gonna go ahead and count Missouri while we're at it?
You know what? We're not doing much with Kansas City. I feel like that's in and of itself. I mean, I guess we could talk a little bit about Kansas City or the. Is it just the home of Taylor Swift now? Isn't that what?
Probably, yeah.
Is that so? Is that on the Missouri
I
side
would-
or is that on the Kansas
I
side?
would presume Travis would stay at her house. I bet it's bigger.
It probably is. You know, I've never seen, like, in the history of the sport that somebody just attends a game and now they've got a whole, like, they've got Taylor Swift Kansas City Chief shirts. You know, like, it's just unreal.
Meanwhile, Simone Biles is dating a Green Bay Packer.
I don't even know who that is.
She's a 8-time Olympic gymnast. It's like 8 medals.
Really? I think
Yeah.
I'll have to definitely check that out.
Yep.
She was in a magazine It was a popular one. I just can't remember what it was right now.
Well,
You know what? Go look at all of them.
Yes,
Go,
we 100% look at magazines still. So
Well, if you've been where I've been, that's all you got. And it was a nice magazine.
God, who else but Seth?
who else but Seth?
That's the true theme of the episode. It's just who else but Seth.
There you go. I like it. We're not done quite with all of our social media stuff because you got to talk about Patreon. All right?
Yeah.
We got to talk about our Patreon. Our Patreon, we are at Crack and Crime on that as well. We got some amazing patrons. So we got Grandma. We got
Sexy Mexi, right?
Sexy Mexi, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, sir. We definitely appreciate it.
I only remember him as Sexy Mexi because that's what you have him labeled as your phone.
In my phone, that's right. Yeah. So if Garcia gives me a call, it's Sexy Mexi. He's the one that changed that in my phone, by the way, and I've never changed it back. So,
One night filled with Coronas and sombreros.
only him and I know that story. So it was, and then we've got Phelps Harvest. Thank you, Phelps Harvest. Go check them out. I believe they're only on Facebook. So go check that out. But Grandma 1, Grandma 2, thank you both. Seth is sorry for everything he's going to say tonight.
Everything.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, he's already.
You've been listening.
So we definitely appreciate all of our patrons. And so you know what? There's room for more. Room for more patrons. Go check us out, patreon.com, at Crack and Crime, or check us out on Apple subscriptions because that's a new thing that we're trying out. We've got one episode out on that so far. So go check that out. That is available only on Apple Podcasts. But otherwise, we're available everywhere that you listen to your podcast. And we're on YouTube, so check us out there. All right. So we've got...
You're reposting on that?
Yeah, I posted all kinds of stuff on YouTube. And Jacob and I did a trial of Poppy's patina, and
God,
I know.
You're staying on that.
I am staying on that.
Good stuff. Truck still looks great.
The truck looks amazing. Seth had nothing to do with it. Jacob.
That's what I thought, Seth. I get the credit.
I was a critic, and I'm still a critic. I thought after a week or two it would probably fade, and it hasn't. Still looks like
it's a clear coat. It's just a wipe-on clear coat. Yeah. Put it on my '86 Chevy pickup.
A lot of those don't stick around though,
Well, yeah, it's a clear coat. We wet scuffed the whole entire truck.
Oh, wait a minute. We got Kansas. Prep. We got to talk about Kansas.
Right. We'll get to Kansas in just a minute.
Kansas City Red.
Yeah, trust me. It's a state. It ain't going anywhere. Yeah, all right, she's still going to be there in a few minutes.
Well, Florida's probably going to go somewhere.
Yeah, Florida Man. Go check that out. Florida Man Headlines. That's a fun episode that we did.
Yeah, a lot of people are just hoping that state just goes away. So.
Florida?
Yeah.
I like Florida.
I love Florida.
Yeah.
I have grandparents down there. What? I have a best friend.
Hurry, jump north. It's leaving. Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't want that place to go anywhere. I love it. Palm trees.
You'd be surprised with how many people don't like Florida.
Well, they should just not go and make it more spacious for us.
That's right.
And the millions upon millions of other people that love it. Did you like it?
Yeah. I was homesick the entire time, though.
Yeah, he was. Well, you were
for
little.
that week we went down there?
Yeah, he was a lot littler though, and then he spent most of the time in his room.
You'd like it a lot more now that you're all buff and stuff.
No!
Macho Man Randy Savage.
You don't even know who that is, but he was a wrestler.
Guy.
Yeah.
Big buff guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get
Wasn't that the Slim Jim man?
He was the Slim Jim guy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Don't you dare mock me. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, you're a little prettier, so you're Savage.
So we've been gone for a little while because Jacob over here has been in football. We talked about this on a couple episodes, but Jacob's been on football, so we were taking a little bit of a break. So now we're back.
Really impressive to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch as he grew throughout the season. And we have pictures of that on our social media stuff. So again, check us out, all of that stuff. And then you'll get to be a little part of.
You want to play. You're pretty freaking badass. Sorry, Grandma. Just saying. Do what you want to do, but I believe you could go just about as far as you wanted to go.
Yeah, at this point, Seth, I think you need to be apologizing more and more to Grandma.
It's fine. But if you don't
After every
keep playing
sentence.
football and giving me someone to cheer on, then I'm not going to apologize to Grandma ever again. You heard it, Grandma. It's on Jacob.
Yeah, then you'll be having to apologize to me.
It's fine. Whatever you want. You keep playing football and you give me a reason to go up to the high school and scream and yell at some referees, I'm all for it.
What about in college?
Yeah. Yeah, give me tickets.
Yeah.
I would love that. I'd go freaking crazy for that.
Be at every
I
game.
don't care which team you go. I mean, if I'm a Husker fan, but if you go to Colorado or something, well,
No.
I guess I'm not wherever you go.
Right.
I'm going to have a new team. Because
Right.
now,
Well,
you know,
I got to put
I'll go
an
to
X-nay
Texas
somewhere.
because he went to the dome.
go to Texas, dude.
Yeah, they don't have a
Be
dome
all for
unless you go to the championship game. Yeah, because that's the
Yeah, I
Cowboys
can do that.
stadium.
Watch me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it, dude.
Do
Bring it.
I'd
I'm
love to see it.
entirely kidding. I'm
I'd
not
love to
going to
see
see that.
Absolutely do
Good,
it.
though.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. You can do anything you put your mind to. Especially with how strong and mean you are when you want to play. You can do anything
Right.
you wanted to do.
Yeah. So now it's gonna be fun watching as we go into the wrestling season and stuff like that.
I want to see some
But
tickets.
that's where we've been. So it's taken a little while. We were really, really busy 3 nights a week. Plus he had practices and stuff like that, so it made it a little difficult.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we're back. He's done with that.
Don't bring me back. Those
So,
damn practices.
We're excited to be pushing out some content. We're hoping to put a bunch of stuff together over the next few weeks. And then,
You're going to need flashbacks to football practice all over again.
absolutely.
Before you
Yeah.
know it,
Well,
Hell
you just-
Week will be back.
That's right. You just got a couple of, it's going to feel like a couple weeks and you'll be back out there on that field, buddy.
Yeah, for
All right.
track.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you got wrestling, then you'll be jumping into track, right? So, all right, let's jump into some Kansas crime because
we're
that's where we're at today.
We're like 300 seconds in, and we're not even talking about Kansas yet.
well, we
It's
don't
all
have
right.
to.
We don't need
That's,
to. What if you go play for K-State? Then we were the whole time.
that's right. There you go. I mean, I'm not going to be 100% happy, but that we're down there. But I mean, I guess I'll show.
Take whatever college we can get, dude. Okay,
Right?
first
I
year.
know. I'm there.
We're
I'll
going-
be
we're going-
there.
We're going every game.
It's
And
just
we're
going to
wear
be
the
really
stupid
weird when
blue
I'm sitting there
color
wearing
purple.
Husker stuff, cheering for the Kansas State.
He won't be
you know.
doing that. He'll have your jersey on, guaranteed. Fuck, I'll have it.
He would.
I'll be drunk lying to the other fucking Kansas fans. I've been fucking cheering for Kansas for years. Remember that one guy did that one throw?
That one throw,
was
that
there.
one time. Oh, yeah, we remember all that. All right, so we're going to jump into a little bit of a dark and gruesome one to start because we're going to talk about the first one we're going to talk about is the Wichita Massacre. Yeah, so I thought that was it's also known as Wichita Horror. It was a week-long violent crime spree perpetrated by brothers Reginald and Jonathan Carr in the city of Wichita, Kansas, between December 8th and December 15th in 2000.
Carr with 2 R's, C-A-R-R.
Yep, C-A-R-R.
Do they have relation to Derek Carr, the NFL quarterback?
I would be guessing that this is their cousin.
That's what I was
They're either cousins, possibly, maybe he's another brother, but I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't quote me on that.
I think you can go ahead and just put it in the fucking dictionary. It's true.
Just is it? I'm not 100% sure. I would venture to guess that they're
I've only
they're-
heard of Cars twice.
in immediate family of each other. I would just venture to guess. So the brothers were arrested on and convicted of multiple counts of murder, kidnapping, robbery, and rape. They were both sentenced to death on October of 2002. Apparently, it created a ton of panic in the Wichita area, resulting in an increase in sales of guns, locks, and home security systems. So crazy.
So it can't get any lower than
So
that.
they were born, or they're from Dodge City, Kansas, which we're going to speak a lot about Dodge City, Kansas, because that's the frontier days, man. It's absolutely awesome.
Wider.
To me, the last time.
Wider.
No offense to any of the residents of Kansas, but Kansas to me will always be of the old Western days.
Right. Yeah. No. Even when you're driving through there, you see somebody, and you're like, "Wait a second. Why are you in a car?"
Yeah, like shouldn't you be in a station thing?
What?
Horses pulling you around the place.
That should be the
Wagon.
only way it
Wagon.
is. Oh yeah, wagon.
But I was thinking station wagon.
The station wagon.
Well, we just
All
a
right.
regular
All
wagon.
right. So either horse and buggy,
old saloon.
right, being pulled by a wagon, or a station wagon. Those are the only two acceptable modes
How
of
many horsepower
transportation.
you got on that? 2. 2 horses pulling this thing around.
Or you can upgrade to your very nice 1987 Jeep. Or I don't even know if Jeep made one. I doubt it's probably for. I don't know. Jeep station wagon.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just say that they did. All right, Jeep made a station wagon. It's the only acceptable mode of transportation.
2 horsepower.
2 horsepower. You have 4. You're just You're just.
You're cooking.
You're cooking.
How do you steer that thing?
Yeah, that's back in the old days when it was at stagecoach, right?
The only time people had 4 horses was in a race.
Right. I mean, the only reason that you need that much horsepower, it'd be ridiculous otherwise. So apparently they were.
I'll just get a bunch of husky sleds, you know.
So apparently Reginald was 22, Jonathan was 20. They both, oddly enough, had lengthy criminal records by the time that this happened. At 20 and 22, they went on a week-long crime spree of murder, rape, robbery. I mean, who would have thunk that it was, lengthy criminal records? But hey, here we are. So, on December 8th, 2000, having recently arrived in Wichita, because they were from Dodge City, Jacob, keep up. The brothers robbed and wounded 23-year-old Andrew Schreiber, an assistant baseball coach. Now, I don't understand why they had to throw in that he's an assistant baseball coach. Maybe that has some relevance to the crime. Maybe they didn't like the way he was coaching the baseball team. I'm not 100% sure on that neither. But 3 days later, on December 11th, they shot 55-year-old cellist and librarian Anne Walenta as she tried to escape from them in her car. She died 3 weeks later in a hospital from her wounds from the gunshot. So on December 14th, the brothers break into a house. 727 East.
14th.
So 12727 East Birchwood Drive in Wichita. Inside the property, which they had just chosen at random, were Brad Haka, Heather Mueller, Aaron Sander, Jason Beaufort, and his girlfriend, a young woman identified as Holly G. Beaufort was a local high school teacher.
Do we know her last name, or is it just Holly G?
Just Holly G is who she's identified as. I'm guessing that's to protect her.
Did you say G's or G?
Probably related
just
to
a G.
Polly G.
I'm guessing that it's just I'm guessing it was to like hide her identity or something. But Sander, a former financial analyst who had been studying to become a priest, and then Holly G was also a teacher. So it says here, first the cars searched the house for valuables. Beaufort had intended to propose to Holly, and she found this out when the cars discovered an engagement ring hidden in a popcorn box. So they burgled the house, and then the cars forced their victims to strip down naked, and then they bound them. The brothers then repeatedly raped the 2 women and forced the men to engage in sexual acts with the women and the women with each other. After taking the victims in Beaufort's truck to ATMs to empty their bank accounts, they drove them to the closed Stryker Soccer Complex on the outskirts of Wichita, where they shot all 5 execution style in the back of their heads. Holy shit.
These people
Wait, I thought
The
it was
cars-
4.
messed up people.
What's that?
I thought it was 4.
There's 5. Yeah. And then the cars then drove Beaufort's truck over their bodies and left them for dead. Holly G survives because her plastic barrette deflected the bullet to the side of her head.
Wow.
While the other 4 were killed instantly.
That's why
She
it's
walked.
Holly G. That's why it's.
Yeah, it's to protect her name.
You didn't put that together, stuff.
I did just now.
So then she walked naked for more than a mile in freezing weather to seek first aid and shelter at a house before getting medical treatment. She reported the incident and descriptions of her attackers to a couple who took her into the police. So after the killings, the cars returned to the house to ransack it for more valuables. Holy crap. That's a horrible story.
Very.
Absolutely. So then it says that they were captured the next day. Both Schreiber and the dying Witchita identified Reginald. The district attorney said they believed their motive was robbery based on evidence. And then with the help of Holly's testimony at the trial, both of them were convicted of nearly all 113 counts against them, including kidnapping, robbery, rape, 4 counts of capital murder, and 1 count of first-degree murder. Reginald Carr was convicted of 50 counts and Jonathan Carr of 43. They're both sentenced to death for the capital murders and then life in prison on the other. Decades to serve before being eligible. It says the cases were appealed.
Eligible for what? For
What?
parole?
What's
Or-
that?
You said they got to serve decades before they're eligible. Eligible for parole or eligible for death?
So it says eligible for parole. Yeah. But
there's
that's
no parole though, right? Like, there's
no.
other
Well,
death.
that would be on all the other cases.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah.
was the sentence carried out?
So that's what we're getting to.
Okay.
But you got to also know that in any time that it's a capital case like that, every time they're
Feds get involved.
no, absolutely not. No, but they will. If they get sentenced to the death penalty, it's absolutely going to be appealed. There's no way that it's not looked at by
They
multiple
deserve
other.
it, though. 100%.
Right. Like after seeing this, I mean, so they're definitely, the right people that should be after the things that they did. So there's been continuing attention for the Carr brothers case because of various rulings about the Kansas death penalty law and decisions by its high court. In 2004, the Kansas Supreme Court overturned the state's death penalty law, but the state attorney general appealed this ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court. It upheld the constitutionality of the state's death penalty law, which returned the Carrs and other condemned killers back to death row. So before it went out, so it comes back in. On July 25th, 2014, the Kansas Supreme Court announced it had overturned the Carr death sentences on appeal. The 6-justice majority said they did so because the trial judge failed to adequately separate the penalty proceedings for each defendant. So according to a release from the Kansas Supreme Court Public Information Officer, the court unanimously reversed 3 of each defendant's 4 capital convictions because jury instructions on sex crime-based capital murder were fatally erroneous, and 3 of the multiple homicide capital murder charges duplicated the first. So, wow.
They are still alive in prison?
Well, that's what we're getting. We're still reading down to that. So the high court
Proves
upheld
justice
most of the
system is
convictions.
charade.
So even if the death penalties were not upheld, each of the Carrs was already sentenced to serve at least 70 to 80 years in prison before being eligible for parole. The Kansas Attorney General appealed the High Court's ruling, which in March 2015 agreed to hear the Carr brothers' sentencing case together with another death penalty case from the state. So they reinstated the death sentence in 2016. The United States Supreme Court, in an 8-1 ruling, reinstated the death sentences, overturning the Kansas Supreme Court, deciding that neither the jury instructions, which were challenged by Carr's legal counsel, nor the combined sentencing proceedings violated the Constitution. So, the Kansas Supreme Court affirmed the death penalty for the brothers on January 21st of 2022. So I wonder if that means that they actually, it says they affirmed it.
It's all a crock, it sounds like.
They're still alive now, and they're still fighting the state of Kansas about the death penalty. So there's a lot of stuff that's been going back and forth, but yeah. So it says in 2022, the Kansas Supreme Court then rejected additional challenges to the convictions. So yeah, no, it's still active, ongoing. They're still appealing it. They're still working their way through but they're still incarcerated. You know what I mean? That they haven't gotten released from there. But it is not. They're not getting out. So they'll serve the rest of their lives, but it sounds like it doesn't know if they're actually going to be sentenced to death or not. But that's still active and ongoing.
I think they should have to go through that fear of knowing you're going to die and then dying, since that's what they did to 4 or 5 other people.
It's one of the worst. I mean, I don't know. We've read some pretty seriously bad ones. This is pretty gross, pretty gruesome. All of the things that they did to these people, and I mean, just everything that they did in general. But then, what they did to Holly G and then those other 5 in that house. I mean, or the 4. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. So
the other 4.
There's other crimes we can talk about. We did BTK, the serial killer BTK.
Ones would be better.
That was Wichita, Kansas. No, they're always better. We don't like cracking a ton of jokes about ones like this, but it's still.
So let's get back to lighthearted commentary. Then.
Right, we have some. Okay, we have some coming, but
let's hope not during another one of the stories like this.
I know. Yeah, I agree with that. I was just going to bring up that we also had BTK. So go check out that episode. That happened in Wichita, Kansas, and then on the outskirts of Wichita. BTK, one of the most infamous killers in American history. Yep. So we did an episode about that. It's kind of funny, kind of not funny, but it's very informative. So go check out BTK, serial killer, when we did that one. So let's just close that browser. I don't want to talk about it anymore. All right, so now we're going to jump across the state to Garden City, Kansas. All right?
All right.
All right. Okay. All right, so...
Oh, wait, is there a third all right in that?
There is. There was always a third one. Yep.
All right.
So, a Kansas man who was already served or was in prison for abducting a store clerk in Viola was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison on bank robbery charge. This was Robert Abner, pled guilty in June of 2008 to a robbery at the Garden Plain State in Garden Plain, Kansas. Yeah, so they didn't put bank, so they put Garden Plain State. But during the robbery, he brandished
State Bank.
Yeah, I think it was the Garden Plain State Bank. They just don't have that listed in there. But during the robbery, he brandished what appeared to be a firearm, demanded money before fleeing on foot. The weapon later was determined to be a pellet gun. So he's arrested in Oregon in July of 2008.
My favorite is when they pull out the banana. That's the weaponry. It's like they're just hiding it in their sweatshirt or something, and then it's revealed that it's just like a banana.
He was just going to trip people with a banana?
Yeah, where he's like threatening him, "Give me all your money."
All right.
And then it's like they catch him, and it's like
he
was just threatening him with a banana.
Did they charge him with use of a banana to commit a felony? Probably. I would assume so.
Yeah, it would still be bank robbery charging.
So June of 2008.
Bank robbery charges. There we go.
A clerk at the Viola General Station was found after being kidnapped and held for several days. In August of 2009, Abner was convicted in a state district court on charges related to the kidnapping and sentenced to 570 months in state prison. In sentencing him, the U.S. District Court judge made Abner's federal sentence consecutive to his sentence in the kidnapping. Oh, that's crazy. He commended the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Assistant U.S. Attorney Lanny Welch for their work on the case. So, a little bank robbery, a little bit more lighthearted. Yeah? So during an attempted robbery at a Topeka Quick Stop, you know where Topeka's at?
Yeah.
Well, I know what a Quick Stop
Topeka,
is.
Kansas. The suspect asked a clerk to empty the register, ties him up, and then after discovering there wasn't hardly any cash to take, he then works the counter himself for about 3 hours until police arrive and then arrest him. Got another Topeka couple was sued by the man who held them hostage in their own home, claiming they failed to keep a verbal contract they'd made after he promised them money in exchange for a place to hide. Former Kansas City Chief player James Winston was cited for shoplifting after attempting to swipe $32.72 worth of crab legs from a public store.
Wait a minute. Did you add an S on Jamie?
Yeah, it was Jamie's with an S. Jameis.
So, also in Topeka, had a quick stop, KWIK, which I've been to a couple of those before. During an attempted robbery at a Topeka quick stop, the suspect asked the clerk to empty the register, tied him up after discovering there wasn't much cash to take, maybe $100, and then worked the counter himself. For 3
we
hours
just
until
did
police
that.
arrived. You didn't just do that, did
I
you
did
really?
just literally.
Why
just
did I
did
mishear you then?
I have no idea.
Edit.
Then he worked it.
I have no idea.
Then he worked for another 3 hours.
So a 29-year-old Wichita man punched a convenience store worker in an attempt to steal his bag. Upon leaving the store, the suspect realized that instead of walking off with cold hard cash, he had stolen cold hard keys. After returning to the scene of the crime, he was arrested by police to investigate. So what did he do?
Return to the scene of the crime.
He's like, oh shit, I got all your keys here, ma'am.
Wrong bag.
I got the wrong bag. Can I like to exchange all these keys for some cash, please? I was in here earlier trying to rob. Hello, ma'am. I'm not sure if you remember me. My name's Bill. I was in here about an hour ago. I was robbing you, and
I personally would have sold him back slowly.
I walked in.
Just being like, I'll sell you back this key if you give me this amount of money.
The way you said it. You be the most gentle, pimp-like key seller.
Ma'am, I've got you a key to that there safe right there. I'll sell it to you for $122.
How many copies would you like? You want one for the side door as well?
Hello, ma'am. I've got you some keys.
So you see here.
Would you like one for your grandson? He probably came back like, this Louis Vuitton bag has keys in it. I had no idea.
All right, so a 24...
Maybe I shouldn't have robbed this place. All they're selling is keys.
That's what you take to the bank. You just take all your keys to the bank. Like, we leave the cash in the register. There ain't more than $72 in there. But these keys...
Yeah.
These keys...
Yeah.
Have you ever...
At least you didn't work the thing for 3 hours.
This is why when you go into a truck stop and everything, they hand you that goddamn that key with like the big bat hanging off of it. People make off with their goddamn bag of keys, and then they've got to go remake a bag of keys.
638 scrap metal right there.
I know. So apparently there's something going on in Topeka. You just want to avoid this area because I got a 24-year-old Topeka man.
Right now you need to just go avoid all of the big cities like Chicago, New York.
Stop talking like that.
We do, yes. I
don't like it.
What is it soothing for you?
Yeah, it sounds like I paid $35.95 for you to talk me to sleep every night.
Seth, you are a good man.
He has a career ahead of him. Jacob reads Along the Nile.
Samuel L. Jackson, he made a book. What was it?
Sounds aggressive.
Sounds aggressive.
Sounds like he's not putting me to sleep. Samuel L. Jackson reads Along the Nile, motherfucker.
I'm gonna have to Google it. Then I'll make Seth read it because I remembered it perfectly.
Okay, so a 24-year-old
Give
Topeka
me
man.
a second.
No, I'm gonna continue on a
20. All right. Well, I'm gonna continue getting my joke ready. All right.
Your joke is passing.
No.
Land your plane.
I know. So a 24-year-old Topeka man was arrested after robbing a Quick Stop at Knife Point. I wonder if it's the same fucking Quick Stop.
It's always Quick Stop.
It's that same one.
That same Quick. Like, you look up funny crime in Kansas, it's like, wait a second, hey, have you guys looked at the Topeka Quick Stop?
Poor Afghan is probably shaking. That sounds racist, I know, but I'm just saying, every Quick Stop I've been to is always owned by successful Americans that have a... What would you call that heritage? And I don't mean to sound racist, but like you have your Iranian, Afghan, they're it's kind of like their own.
Thank you.
heritage.
Come again.
They come over here and they're very that was racist. They come over here and they're very
That
successful
was, yeah,
though.
they
I
were-
mean, they're always been.
But
That's from The
successful
Simpsons. You
That is
guys
from-
don't.
They come over here.
Abu from The
it is,
Simpsons.
yeah,
Yes, I get you.
exactly.
Yeah.
But they come over here and they chase the American dream and they get it. You know, like that's what America's about. Is to come over here and get your own business and do it. And they're very successful at it. I
Right.
just don't know how to properly term that without being racist. I don't mean for it to be a racist.
What is this book that you're trying to show me? Go the fuck to sleep by read by Samuel L. Jackson.
That is funny though. That is funny.
Yeah.
You know what? So speaking of Samuel L. Jackson, because we're jumping down this, Jacob won't let us get off of this thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So the F word.
That's what I thought.
So, God. So the F word. Everybody thinks that Samuel L. Jackson has said it more in his movie career, but it's. Can you guess which actual person now has said the F word the most?
No.
Ryan Reynolds.
Nope.
That's a good guess though.
That was a decent.
Deadpool?
That was a decent guess with Deadpool. No, it was Wolf of Wall Street, and
Leonardo
it was
DiCaprio?
not Leonardo DiCaprio. It was the guy.
Big guy.
Yeah, the heavier set guy that's then gets skinny and
Give me a
he's.
second. I know his name is Seth. No,
No.
he played Seth in that first in Superbad.
What's
Jonah
that?
Hill.
Jonah Hill.
Jonah
There you
Hill,
go.
yep.
Yeah. So Jonah Hill has actually said it more in movies than what Samuel L. Jackson
Wow,
has.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
of Superbad probably.
And then so it was a funny statistic that you read because everybody, if you say the F word in movies, who's that? You got Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean that's his thing, right? I mean,
Samuel L. Jackson's been in like 200 movies. I
right.
mean,
Oh, he's been in
I think
everything.
he's been in more movies than anybody
Right.
else.
And one of his famous catchphrases is has the F word in it. You know what I mean? So it's just hilarious to think that no, it's Jonah Hill, and most of it was because he said it like 100 and some odd times in that movie alone. I mean, just repeatedly said it over. Honestly, I think that's why I didn't care for the movie that much.
You
I
didn't
mean,
like Wolf of Wall Street?
well,
One
it's-
of my favorite movies of all time.
well, it's got one of my favorite
I've
parts.
never seen it.
It's got one of my favorite parts in it of
Probably
all time.
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. Oh my God.
I've never seen the movie, so you guys are all calling back to something I've never
I love
seen.
that movie because it's a true story. Like if you get me a good
It's a
movie that's
decent
a true
movie.
story, I love it.
It's a decent movie, but it's.
I've seen that movie so
Hey, what
many
about The
times.
Conjuring?
Yeah, I'm not.
I love that
Hey,
movie.
you ever watched
It's
The
okay.
Conjuring?
It was.
No, I haven't.
No, I don't.
Well, that's
have any-
based off of true events.
Yeah, I watched
It
The
was.
Conjuring once. I
Art's
wasn't
pretty
over
good.
impressed. But it's just a. It's
It
just a
is.
scary
There's two.
movie.
Or actually, there's
I can't
three
get
now.
Jacqueline to watch a scary movie to save my life.
I'm not a big scary movie fan,
not
and
either.
they make up so much. What they do in all movies, I don't care if they say that it's always
It's based on true events.
right
Like one.
Woodford said that a lot of it was pretty accurate. I mean,
on what?
on like his.
Are you talking about- are you back to
when
Wolf of Wall Street? I'm lost.
When Leonardo DiCaprio would talk about like the drugs he consumed today, or what he did with this, and what he did with that, everything that he said as a side note, as a commentary, was true, was based on true facts. So there wasn't a whole lot exaggerated on Wolf
Right.
of Wall Street.
But I think I just didn't care for it because I don't like. I don't know. I mean, I just didn't like the way that they used the F word every other word throughout the whole entire movie, and then they were just thieves and they were just doing a crap ton of drugs, and they were just crooks. They were just. It wasn't fun. I wasn't rooting for him to win. I was rooting for him to lose the whole movie, and I didn't like him as a person, and I didn't care for any of it. So like the only good part of the whole movie is Margot Robbie, and then that's it.
I quit rooting for him in the beginning when he said he was selling garbage to garbage men. He was making hand over fist. I quit rooting for him after that. But I loved, like, I'm a big fan of theater. I'm a big fan of acting. So I loved
Right.
the acting, and I loved how it sucked you in and made you feel like it was a movie. And you were kind of like the whole time, you're like, well, I hope he gets caught. He's kind of being a dirty motherfucker. He's
Right.
cheating on his wife. He's cheating on her. So
Right.
I
He was
love
all-
how he made me kind of root against him, but at the same time,
You know,
I was following it. You know, like it
I
sucked
can
me
watch.
into the movie. And that's what
I
like
really.
in the movie.
I watched all these other movies, and I like all these other movies. Like I was rooting for Jax Teller in when he's in the Sons of Anarchy.
Of course. But he's a
You know.
bad guy. He's a piece of shit.
Right, he is absolutely, but it doesn't make you hate him. You know what I mean?
course
And then
not,
there's
yeah.
parts where you don't like one, but then you starting to like Clay again, and blah blah blah. But it's just like in that Wolf of Wall Street movie, I wasn't rooting for any of them. I thought they were all horrible human beings throughout all of that portion of the movie,
Yeah.
and then it was just hard to. I don't know, and I don't know. It's a decent movie, but
guess in a sense, I was rooting for them for a little bit of it because once I realized they were pieces of shit, and like at that point, you know that having a good time, and if you're having that much fun and you're doing that much wrong shit, then your time is literally limited. It just depends on when you get caught and when you go to jail. So you might as well enjoy that amount of time while you have it. So I guess maybe I found a way to enjoy it and root for him a little bit in that time. Like, hey, you're a piece of shit. You deserve to go to prison. You're going to go. So, like, I hope you enjoy the shit out of it. And it was kind of cool to see how it played out. And then, yeah, like, you're going to cheat on the Duchess, on Margot Robbie. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
I know.
You deserve everything you got. But to me, it was just, it was such good acting and it's such a good...
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio is an amazing actor.
One of the best actors of
all
time.
If I was going to sit down and watch another one of his movies...
Killers of the Flower Moon. I want to see it so bad.
I haven't even seen a preview for that one that I remember. But
wow.
Yeah.
True story based on when we went to...
Oh, is that the new one that's... Okay, I take that back. Yeah, I've seen a couple of things.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I've seen a couple. I'm not a big Robert De Niro fan anymore either. No, he's gotten way too overly political, and I just don't care for his opinion.
I don't know about his political opinions, but...
No,
if you can let go of Garth, I can let go of...
Well, Garth doesn't have that. Okay, that's for a whole other. No, I know. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. No, he's not. So, not at all. No, and he's even came out and said that he's Republican. So I don't even care. But
stop going so high pitched. I think there's a child outside every time.
He's not. But it doesn't matter. We're gonna be having a discussion. We'll just go ahead and jump on it right now. We're in the middle of this episode. There's going to be, but I'm telling you right now, a future episode. So go ahead and start.
That's our next episode, just so you know.
I don't know if it's going to be next.
We're going to go Hollywood. We're going Hollywood. We're going crime in Hollywood, crime and opinions of Hollywood, and its stars.
Okay.
I think we'll have a lot of fun.
I think we'll have a lot of fun.
I can debate with you and not have any hard feelings or anything.
What's that?
I can debate with you and not have any hard feelings.
100%. Absolutely.
I love Garth. I really do. I try to act to match.
Right. Well, we're not. When we do the whole stupid Tom Segura versus the amazing Garth Brooks, that one's coming, and that one.
It was funny at first, and now it's kind of petty, but now it's also like it means so much to you. It's like, oh,
I know. Yeah. All right. So just so everybody knows, I'm a big time Garth Brooks fan.
You gotta get mad for that.
I know. Well, we're not jumping into that one absolutely right now yet. But Larson and I have been having an argument. It's been ongoing. He likes Tom Segura, so he's one of the 5 Tom Segura fans out there. I am a big-time Garth fan, and so we're going to have this discussion.
You just had to add that there's only 5 of them out there.
So anyways, we're not going into that right now. It's not happening, so let's jump out of it. But
are you professional about this, besides Tom Segura's a little fucking bitch and I hate him? No, everything's fine.
But other than that, so if you want to, we'll...
Other than Garth's a perfect human being, and nobody can dislike him.
He absolutely is, but that's even the joke. The joke is there is no skeletons in his closet, and they're like, where are they? So, but it's played out. Anyway, we're not going into this. I've already said. I got nothing else. So we will post. Okay, stop. We will.
So all right.
Okay, so we're gonna jump into. I'll leave stuff all over our social media when it gets to that point that we're going to be doing that episode with Larson, and we're going to take a poll. We're just not there yet. So if you want to start, you can start commenting on our Facebook or any of our stuff. Just go check us out, all of our social medias, and then you can start leaving some of those. All right.
All right.
So the next thing I want to jump into is probably our last story of this episode.
It should be.
I'm hoping it is.
Fun. We've been doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump into the Long Branch Saloon because you can't really talk about Kansas without talking about some crime
I feel like I
old time
beer because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Old time Kansas, the frontier days.
Long Branch, though, I've never heard that before.
I know. Well, that's why I'm telling you about it. It's in historic Dodge City, Kansas. Yeah.
But you might have heard of it. It's just somewhere in Kansas.
Yeah.
So, it's one of the most historic saloons of the Old West. It's still there today. It's on Boot Hill in the museum in Dodge City, Kansas. I want to go to Dodge City and go to... So, I've been to Dodge City. I went to a concert.
7-hour drive from here?
No.
I think 5.
Yeah, down to...
Also 6.5.
Yeah, Dodge City's not more than 4 or 5 hours from where we're at. But it's... So, Dodge City...
Yeah, we called it a short drive, I remember. We went to it.
Been.
We haven't been. We've been talking about going.
No, well, I look at Google Maps all the time.
When he
it's
was
close.
talking about it, he mentioned how long you guys looked it up, I imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I check Google Maps like every day. That
Right.
and weather. So
Right. So no.
Welcome to manhood.
That's my little. It's my young old man, Jacob.
I also breathe.
yeah, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, go to bed. at
He's
7.
one of the only kids that walks in the classroom and he goes, "Excuse me, teacher, have you heard that it's supposed to be 31 degrees and snowing tomorrow morning?"
Are you?
Did you hear the sun was supposed to set at 7:32 p.m.
Are you
tonight?
100% aware that it is Tuesday indeed?
You gotta do the old man laugh too. So like,
I'm sure you know the month, but some would say it is October.
All right, so let's jump into this instead of making fun of my little guy
He
here.
makes fun of me all the time. Tit for tat.
So back in the 1870s, Dodge City began to acquire its famous stamp of lawlessness and gunslinging.
I thought it was the 1860s.
It was 1870s, is what I just got done saying.
No.
So they
well,
didn't
you're
have-
wrong. So.
Family, oh!
Oh, you got me. Oh, boy. No, it was the 1870s. Yeah, not the 60s. So this is when they're getting their...
Breathing like that in the microphone.
You better go on, but you better say it's the 1860s. I swear.
Every time he lifts a toe, he's like, oh. I'll be damned.
I'm that 80-year-old, 15-year-old. So
So this is when it started to begin.
you know my back's been killing me for years.
God. All right, so this is when the lawlessness and the...
Before
Notoriety.
Wyatt Earp showed up.
Yes, this is before Wyatt Earp. So they had no local military or law enforcement. There was buffalo hunters, railroad workers, drifters, cowboys, soldiers that were scrapped and fought, leading to the shootings where men died with their boots on. That's why it's called Boot Hill. Okay, so during this time, the famous Long Branch Saloon was built, and even that
I just
was
like
an
to
Old
think.
West tale.
I just like to think that there's just still a boot on that hill every time.
There probably is.
Just a statue of a
Yeah.
boot or something.
I bet there is.
There might be.
I know that
Just a
there's the
cowboy
Boot Hill
boot.
Cemetery
Just a
out there.
cowboy boot is just sitting there. That somebody just cleans it up and then like another one just appears. You hit your microphone on the way back.
All right, so there's some really famous people that are buried at Boot Hill in Dodge City, Kansas. And then I'm also...
They
you know, I'm not
definitely
re-
have a boot on their graves.
So I'm not saying this for 100% certainty. I need to look this up, and I haven't looked it up this particular time. Okay, but I'm pretty positive that Billy the Kid, when he was running around and everything, it was all throughout Kansas as well.
God, I need to learn more about Billy the Kid.
I know one of these times we can talk about Billy the Kid, because that's actually a really crazy story.
I can't remember if it was in Kansas or Oklahoma, but I remember driving around working for county or something like that, and we went out. It felt like we were in the middle of nowhere, like you're out in between Orleans and Oxford, whatever, out here.
Yep.
You're out in country roads, and I remember seeing a sign that said Billy the Kid's house, family home, whatever. And it was like a little museum in the middle of nowhere. So it's like where his parents, or where he was born, or whatever, where he grew up.
Oh, that's
Somewhere
weird.
in Oklahoma. And I've seen a couple of little places like that out there.
You
In
know,
Oklahoma, Kansas.
Speaking of that,
Is your seat rusted already?
Moving on.
so speaking of that, I don't know if you've been told this, and I know this is kind of a, like random fact out of the nowhere, but Atlanta, Nebraska, little teeny tiny Atlanta, that Hugh Hefner's parents,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, are from right here.
Yeah. He was born in Nebraska, wasn't he?
I want to say yes, but he never grew up here.
Yeah.
So he grew up in a boys' home in Chicago. So he grew up. All of his stuff all happened in Chicago, but he's got relatives and family in Holdridge.
I heard about that. Yeah.
And his family farm was down in Atlanta, Nebraska. So he would summer here and stuff like that. I think help out on the farm a little bit. So there's been people from around the Holdridge area that have all been out to the Playboy Mansion and stuff when he was still alive because they're relatives of his. So I thought that was really interesting. So he's not from here, but his family is.
Yeah, we're thinking that. I bet Atlanta was nicer back then. I mean, that's like Atlanta, Orleans. All those homes are so raggedy and run down because they're so freaking old. You know, so I bet.
Well, in certain areas,
60, 70 years ago, they were nice and new, and they might have been the booming towns around here.
Might have been, yeah.
And then
as the other ones were kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. So let's jump back into this a little bit. So about Billy the Kid real fast. I am pretty positive that his reign was all around Kansas. And I'm thinking more northern Kansas, I want to say. And so he used to, when he would rob all the trains and all that stuff, he buried those treasures all over the place. And then there's people that are still out, and I think that they I was watching some TV special sometime, and I'm pretty sure that it's northern Kansas, and they were digging around the base of this tree, and they found some really old coins that were possibly from the Billy the Kid area. Oh, absolutely, it would be, because they're all old coins.
Well, yeah, you always read about that growing up. And I grew up a lot in Oklahoma, and you always read about a lot of that stuff, but pretty much every single infamous cowboy or whatever you heard of, they always had some portion of their life they had to run through Kansas, and there was always a big deal in Kansas. So,
right.
I feel like to me, Kansas is just as famous as Oklahoma or Texas or any of that stuff is as far as the old Western days goes.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'd say probably one of the most famous towns of them all is Dodge City, Kansas.
It's right in the center of all of
Wichita. That was Wichita, Kansas, where we've talked about that during the Wyatt Earp episode. Yeah. That's
I personally think my favorite city in Kansas is Smallville. So.
Freaking killing me. I personally think.
Well, you see here.
Can't take it seriously.
I'm not trying to talk any differently.
It's funny. I'm not complaining. It's funny.
I do my voice, and then Seth's just walking in here and just
me off. You and me get in a groove. We're talking. He's like, perhaps. It throws me off completely.
Well, you're wrong in this certain way.
Sir. I bet you do.
As you see, the football game we are losing. 14.
Back scratcher. Get your back scratcher.
What you see, sir?
Why I oughta.
Why I oughta.
So
I didn't mean to do that, did I? Did I sound like?
It's actually coming out.
Did I actually sound like that?
That's hilarious.
Great grandfather is coming out of you right now.
I'll bust your kneecaps.
All right. So during this time of the 1870s, the famous Long Branch Saloon was built, and
it's taking so long.
And even that was an Old West tale in and of itself. So at the beginning, men were all playing ball in the hot, dry Kansas plains. Side wagers began as the Cowboys
ball?
played.
Was it baseball?
Baseball.
That was the only sport back then.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of anything else.
Like Ridiculous Sixes baseball?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's when they designed it. Yeah, that's when they put it all together. So, of course, they're tipping back a few brewskis during the game, and then a bigger wager was soon made. And then if the soldiers lost, they would provide building materials to construct the saloon. So all agreed that tipping a few beers outside the sun would be nice relief. So the soldiers lost the game, and then the building materials promptly showed up. Before long, the Long Branch Saloon was born. So, yeah, this is like the history of that. I want the actual... So it's pretty neat. That's great. Historic. The saloon was purchased by Chalkley Beeson and William Harris in 1878.
Beeson?
What's that? Yep, Beeson and William Harris.
Are you sure it's not? Are you sure it's not Bison?
Nope, it's Beeson.
No, he's the dude that we named all the American bison off of. He bought them all.
He bought them all. That was this guy.
Yeah.
So old chalky bison. It's bison though.
What is it? B-E?
So when he owned it,
S-O-N? Is it B-E-S-O-N?
it's B-E-E-S-O-N.
Yeah.
Bison.
Yep.
So
Why-I-Anna?
So while he owned it, a 5-piece orchestra played every night for entertainment of the cattlemen. They organized and led the famous cowboy band, which entertained all over the West at cattlemen conventions, concerts, dances, and in Washington, D.C. at the inauguration of President William Harrison. There was gambling in the Long Branch Saloon. They served milk, tea, lemonade, sarsaparilla, and then obviously all types of alcohol. So they were kind of like your go-to everything.
90% sure you didn't pronounce that correctly.
Which one? The
Sarsaparilla.
So sarsaparilla.
Well, I still think he didn't pronounce bison correctly, but that's just me.
I mean, he said B-E-E, which is very clearly B. And then S-O-N, which is son. It's in our name.
Oh, well, I also don't think he said...
Why I oughta.
I also think he said 1860s wrong, too, so...
You fancy a rose?
Well, but that's just me.
Keep beating you, bro.
So
People are going to start asking me to do the voice in public now. Just watch them.
So in
Do the
1885,
voice. Why, Ayana?
You should probably stop. You wait to talk till your dad talks.
Every time.
Every time.
So in 1885, the original Front Street buildings were destroyed by fire, and as the cattle drives were ending with the coming of the railroad, they were never rebuilt. So the Long Branch Saloon actually burned up in 1885, but it was then reconstructed on Front Street that began in 1947. So located in the original 1870s cemetery, the buildings represent Dodge City as it appeared in 1876.
Are we back in boot camp?
So it's still in Boot Hill. It was carefully researched through historic photographs and newspapers. So when you go to the Boot Hill Museum, it was completely recreated.
Did you say museum?
I said museum. What do you call it?
1840 what? 8, you said? 1847?
A museum?
As it appeared in
Not a
1876. It started being rebuilt in 1947.
1947.
Yeah.
After the World War II.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. And then it's got original artifacts throughout the museum.
That's not the actual original.
It's
but still,
not
it's
the
still
original, but it's
impressive. That's
all-
still pretty freaking old. I mean,
It
you're
is.
talking 80 years old.
It is.
I'm just glad I don't sound like Popeye the Sailor Man.
You do.
No,
Sound like Popeye.
have you ever heard Popeye the Sailor Man? He sounds like a smoker that's chain smoked ever since he was like 4. He's like, his voice is all down here. It's like, and then he says, why yada.
Why I oughta. See, so in the spring of 1879,
Coming around the bend.
All right, so in the spring of 1879, the wicked little town of Dodge City, it still wasn't tamed, right? So we're talking 1879, and so this was not long before the fire that ruined the street,
saloon.
the saloon, yeah. But there was a shootout at the Long Branch Saloon. All right, so the Long Branch Saloon shootout was also known as the Richardson-Loving gunfight. So Levi Richardson was a buffalo hunter, and again, we're talking in 1879. So it's been a minute, right?
Black powder gens.
I don't know. This is probably before black powder. We'll have to research that. Yeah, I think that this still would have been.
I'd like to do an episode on the history of guns.
Yeah, that'd be
You
fun.
said that because I don't think I know as much as I should.
Yeah, no, I do think that they were.
You probably never will,
still
Seth.
bullets and yeah, but they may have been. I don't think that they were. I do think that they were pretty modern as to what we deem modern today. So, but Cockeyed Frank Loving was a professional gambler.
So why was he called that?
We'll probably get into it. But Levi Richardson was a buffalo hunter. So Richardson was known as a slow and awkward man. He also had a reputation as an excellent gunfighter. The pair often met at the Long Branch Saloon playing many games of chance that were offered and became friends. So somewhere along the line, Richardson developed some affection for Loving's wife, Maddie. Yeah. The friendship dissolved and the two began to argue over the woman. Okay? So the dispute finally comes to blows, and the two argue on Front Street in March of 79. Okay? So Richardson ends up punching Loving in the face. However, an unarmed Frank Loving simply turned his back on Levi and then on Richardson there, and he walks away with Richardson yelling, "I'll blow the guts of you, you cockeyed son of a bitch." Well, it just says "son of a," it doesn't say, but I believe that's what he was leading to.
Yeah,
So I improv'd a little bit of the story.
Close
Yeah.
with her bitch, you say?
So a few weeks later now, it's April 5th. So Richardson strode purposefully into the Long Branch Saloon looking for Loving. Believing it time to settle their differences, Richardson was sure he would find Loving in the saloon. So as it had come to be his favorite place to gamble, they were there all of the time. But Loving was not there. So undaunted, Levi Richardson heads back to the bar for a drink before settling in to a pot-bellied stove in the front of the saloon. So by about 9 o'clock p.m., Richardson had decided that Loving wasn't going to show up and he starts to head to the door. About the same time, Loving comes stepping into the door. So just as Loving sits down at a long table, Richardson turned around and took a seat at the same table. So now the two were then heard speaking lowly, though no one could really hear what they're saying to each other, but they're talking to each other. Someone hears Richardson say, "You wouldn't fight anything, you damn," and they didn't catch it. To which Loving replies, "You try me and see."
I guess you can call him a coward or something.
Something along those lines. So the next thing you know, Richardson drew his pistol. Loving drew his in response. The Long Branch Saloon gets completely filled with smoke. And then Charlie Bassett, who was the Dodge City Marshal at the time, heard the shots where he was in Betty and Kelly's saloon. And then he came running. So he's down the street at a different saloon. He hears the gunfire and he goes running. So both men were still standing, but Richardson had shot 5 shells from his gun, and Loving's Remington 44 was empty. So Deputy Sheriff Duffy threw Richardson down in a chair and took his gun, while Bassett disarmed Loving. Richardson then got up and started toward the billiard table when he fell to the floor with a fatal gunshot wound in the chest, as well as a shot through the side and another through the right arm.
Yeah.
Frank Loving, who had only a slight scratch on his hand, was immediately taken to jail. 2 days later, on April 7th of 1879, the coroner's request ruled that the killing had been in self-defense, and Loving was immediately released.
So you're telling me one shot 5, the other emptied the
Which would have been
gun
6.
was within 6. So 5 and 6 were shot.
Yeah, so we got
And
11
the
rounds.
The one that died only hit his hand.
Yeah,
He
skimmed
shot
Loving's
5
hand,
shots.
and Loving had shot all 6, but he had put 3 or 4 bullets into Richardson. One of them was in the chest.
Well, I wonder if that first one wasn't to the chest, and then the other.
Well, he was still alive and kicking.
The other 4 shots weren't just fucking flopping around the place.
Oh, that
So-
could be. Oh, yeah. Then he fired
Yeah.
5. Yeah, because
Yeah,
he was hit multiple times, and yeah, he barely grazed the other.
I mean, you're in
So-
a saloon, you can't be that far apart. I mean,
Right.
how
Oh,
do you
I'm
miss
guessing
that
this
many
is
shots?
this
I bet that first
probably.
shot might have been up there, and then he got
Yeah.
hit,
Oh,
and
maybe
he
the
just
first
kinda
one
started
was the
popping.
one that grazed
Yeah,
him.
maybe.
Yeah,
And then the
yeah.
next one, you get hit in the chest.
You know, no
you're
ballistics
squeezing.
needed. That's the way that we're going with it. Yeah. So later, Frank Loving
You're
would
welcome.
leave.
We're
his
we're just making this up. We don't know.
It's an estimated guess. It's a
This is-
hypothesis.
Right. Yeah. No, but this is pretty you know what?
This is a conjecture.
You can pretty much take that to the bank at this point.
Yeah. It's a very, very good hypothesis.
So later,
I like the math term conjecture a little bit better.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, this is conjecture.
Well, not all of us are smart.
You'll learn what it means one day, Seth.
I will, thank you. Maybe you'll teach me.
All right, so later, Frank Loving would leave his wife, Maddie, a 2-year-old son, John, and a 1-year-old daughter, Minty. After Dodge City, Loving moves on to another lawless town, Las Vegas, New Mexico, before finally making his way to Trinidad, Colorado in 1882. There, he would die in the same manner as Richardson in the Trinidad, Colorado shootout on April 16th of 1882. So almost exactly 3 years later, he gets shot down in a saloon.
Maybe he had survivor's guilt.
Oh, he might have, because he left his wife and kids and everything. Maybe he just thought he was a bad SOB. He was traveling around saying, "You heard that I killed old Richardson." People didn't even know who Richardson was, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, you know."
Yeah, so I doubt it.
It's actually really surprising to think how well documented events like this were back in those days, how often it happened, how well documented it was, and how famous these guys became of things like this.
Blackwater.
Everywhere, just writing journals or writing logs of things of what they see.
Well,
and like then you can compare all these people writing things. It's got to be what it is.
I think what it was more than anything, to be honest with you, was people that lived out on the East Coast heard tales and loved the tales of the crazy Wild West, right? That's why there was the traveling shows to the more established cities with your city folk and the Wild West and how it can't be tamed and no one will tame it. And then the stories.
Even though there was a lot of laws, apparently.
Well, there were, right, because of the Constitution, but there wasn't people enforcing any of it.
You go out to like Orleans over here. There's no cops going through there except for county cops.
Speaking to the mic.
County cops aren't stationed there. I'm just saying, like, imagine how bad it was back then, where you've got, 6 different cities.
One marshal for an entire town.
You got one marshal, so.
Well, yeah, but your marshal was like a city marshal, and it was.
We got the town sheriff.
Yeah, the county sheriff, and then you'd have your like town marshals. And then you'd have your U.S. Marshals, but they just did federal stuff. But anyways, any way you look at it, there wasn't a lot of guys that wanted to go into these towns. I mean, they were lawless.
Federal stuff wasn't really serious until the FBI, and FBI wasn't until like
Hoover.
Babyface,
J. Edgar
Nelson,
Hoover, and that was in the
Hoover,
1930s.
Babyface, Nelson, all the bank robbers.
Babyface?
With that was automatic guns. That was the Tommy guns and all that. That's when FBI really started coming out. Before that, you didn't have. You had U.S. Marshals.
Right. It was J. Edgar Hoover, and he formed the FBI to be a task force. And that's actually a really interesting story. We should do that one of these times. Yeah, I do too. So that's why. But it's just
John
crazy.
Dillinger. I mean that
right.
Time.
Oh yeah. Now we've talked about needing to do the 30s. But
so you guys are gonna go do the mob bosses next?
The mob bosses would be a fun
that's
episode.
That's a big part of it too. That's a big part of the FBI as well.
That's
kickstart of the FBI.
That basically is what they needed because there was crime, organized crime all throughout. But okay, we're jumping way ahead. That's like 50 years from this particular
at least.
time.
Right. At least.
So, but this is it was 50 years because we're talking 1880. That was 1930-ish. So anyway, what I am talking about right now is in these towns, and then all you'd have to do. This is the same way.
I thought you said 1870.
I'm going to guess that all you're going to say is all you'd have to do is leave the county.
Not the county.
The state.
The state. You were done.
State.
You're good. They're not
so,
going to chase you past the state.
Right, and if you go back and listen to our Wyatt Earp episode, because he was convicted or he was charged with horse thievery, and back in those days they'd hang
kill
somebody. Yeah, they'd hang you. That was you did not steal somebody's horse. Horse thieves were hung in the streets. I mean, if you go back and watch the show 1882, right? With 1883, yeah. Go watch that because I mean that's where you see Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw was just walking. That guy started to rob him. He stole his wallet, and he chases him down and he starts shooting him. And when people question him about it,
they hung the one guy just for letting his sheep graze his yard.
Right, I'm saying when he got right away, the very opening beginnings of it, when the guy steals his wallet. And then he shoots the guy and walks over there and starts smacking him around. And then when people are questioning him, he said, "Some bitch stole my wallet." So then they said, "You're a thief," and they grabbed him and they pulled him over and they hung his ass right then and there. So I mean, it's pretty accurate though. That's what they did back in these days.
They weren't messing around.
See, a lot of laws.
There was laws, but there wasn't that many people to enforce it.
The public enforced them, though.
Right, that's what made Wyatt Earp so. Wyatt Earp was one of the very few lawmen that, like, was the same as these other guys. He was just as ruthless.
And then he changed.
Right, but he was just as ruthless as the guys that he was. So
That's what made him great.
He got paid per arrest. So the way that he cleaned up Dodge City, Kansas, was if you didn't abide by the rules, he would just come out of the blue and he would have his gun turned upside down and he'd hit you with the butt of the gun, knock you out, drag your ass down.
They actually show that in the movie where he's like bang bang.
Great movie, not as good as Tombstone.
Oh,
Great movie.
No,
the people have spoken.
The people spoke, but I still refuse to agree with it.
Tombstone is such a better movie. I mean,
but this is also where Bat Masterson comes along.
I've never seen it.
That's insane, dude. I don't even understand what
I've seen Wyatt Earp. I've seen it multiple times.
Well, now one of these days we need to watch Tombstone.
No.
Okay. Such a good movie.
Tombstone is a good movie. But so anyway, so this is the story of the shootout. He basically was not charged with the crime. And then I was going to talk a little bit about Bat Masterson because Bat Masterson, I mean, he was a pretty bad dude also.
That's Wyatt Earp times.
That is, it's the exact same time frame. He was the guy that took over for Wyatt Earp when Wyatt Earp left Dodge City, and if I remember correctly, he was the one that was gunned down. He was killed, or it was either him or it was his brother that was killed.
Yeah, what's his brother's name?
I think it was maybe his brother.
I can't remember what his brother is. It's Masterson, and they said it all the time.
All the time.
And Wyatt Earp, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. So it was Bat Masterson because he was a buffalo hunter when he met Wyatt Earp, and then when Wyatt Earp was tame and he was becoming famous for all of his standoffs.
Were not to be fucked with.
Wait, is that the guy that Wyatt Earp meets at the beginning of the movie?
Yes. Yep. And then he brings Bat Masterson and Bat Masterson's brother. And I actually think it's Bat Masterson's brother. I'm looking at it right now.
Maybe I remember the movie a little too good.
Which is great. It's a fantastic movie. It's the best, one of the best movies of all time.
Better than Tombstone.
You haven't seen that.
Ed Masterson or James Masterson?
Ed Masterson. There, I just found it. The killing of his Masterson's brother.
Ed Masterson.
Yeah. So instead of pulling his own gun, a prudence would have dictated in stopping. So because he had a different way of dealing with him than Wyatt did. He tried to talk people out of...
Like we do now. Which is what does a little bit more of argumenting, which is actually what made Wyatt Earp, I believe. Or, no, because he was gunned down before, and then they went and killed all the guys.
Yeah, well, that was Wyatt Earp, and that was when Wyatt Earp's brothers got killed, and that was all in Tombstone. That wasn't in...
Maybe you have seen Tombstone.
Yeah. Well, that all happens in all the Wyatt Earp movies because that's what...
I don't remember a lot of the end of Wyatt Earp because I've only seen it once, and I think I need to watch it again.
I was going to say,
nobody knows who shot first.
Can't even... No, they do not. They've tried to reenact that. But you know what? That's Tombstone. And we talked about all that in the Wyatt Earp episode, but I love the whole Wyatt Earp thing. So,
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, but that's when they...
Be a fucking huge fan of it.
Right. I have always been a big fan of it. I'll always be a big fan of it. And we're dragging this thing out at this point. We're getting into a lot of... Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Great time.
Everybody, we need to really do one of the 30s.
We do. We've got... You and me have such a big love for history, and
right.
Especially when it comes to law.
Yeah, but you don't have any knowledge of it, so... We can't.
I think I can hang with Uncle Jamie on it.
He's got some.
I'm such a nerd about it. I think
right, he's got some, and then I think that'd be fun. We need to watch some documentaries, and we need to do our homework, and we'll really come to our A game. Look forward to in a couple of weeks.
So I guess U.S. history is the only class that Seth didn't fall asleep in.
I had an A in history class in high school. I love history.
A D in every other one.
I think history's I think history is the one thing I can keep up with you on a little bit. Like, you obviously know more than me about law and stuff, but I'm so interested in it that I'm eager to learn it from you.
Oh,
Like, what
absolutely.
you know, I want to hear about it, and I want to talk about it, and I want to say my opinion on it.
Did
I
you
love
forget the
history.
first and
Well,
half of the U.S. president crime?
Yeah, no, I remember that too. Yeah, I'm
Do you,
just saying,
you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when I can't remember which president it was, the misfired, when he pulled out 2 guns and they both misfired?
Yep. Oh, that was absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. And he's one of our big presidents too. Wasn't
like-
it Jefferson?
No, he
No,
was
it's,
like the 5th.
Not Roosevelt.
It was the crazy guy. I think like Andrew. Andrew
Jackson.
Jackson.
Oh, Andrew Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
Yes.
I got it.
You got it.
He
Yeah,
even
it was.
beat a dude with a cane. I remember
That's
that guy.
right. Yeah,
I
Andrew
remember
Jackson.
that
Oh,
guy.
Yeah, he got into all kinds of crazy
Yes.
stuff as president.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. No, that really is. Go check out everybody probably thinks that we got all political on that one. We did not. We had a
Yeah.
lot. We told
Hey.
a lot of fun stories, man, and that's one of the stories. If you want to hear that one,
Yeah.
go check out U.S. presidents.
I'm so glad that I remembered that. I was like, Alan
Yeah,
Jackson.
see?
Al-
I'm with it too. Yeah, I'm glad you
I was like,
yeah.
Alan Jackson. Is his name?
Alan
Great
Jackson.
country musician, so I
that
see
was.
where you're getting,
Do you
you're
guys?
getting idols and idols here.
Do you
Yeah.
guys remember when he was shooting at that other guy down by the Chattahoochee?
Yeah. And I was like, what's his name? Alan? And I was like, wait a minute. No way.
Wait
It was
a
like,
minute.
Andrew.
Nope. I think that was when I was learning to drive. I can't remember. Yeah, all great Alan Jackson references. All right.
That I don't understand. So anyway.
So, yeah, go check us out. All of our social media. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everything's at Kraken Crime. Patreon at Kraken Crime. Leave us 5
Become
stars.
a patron. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Go give us 5 stars.
Not that much money.
That's right. It's not that much money, and we need it more than you do. No,
Don't buy
But
2
we-
Big Macs every month.
absolutely. Yeah. If you want to help support us, that's a great way to do it. We appreciate it. Otherwise, everything's at Kraken Crime. All the social medias. And remember,
Thanks
give
again,
us,
Mr. Sexy Mexi.
everybody, give us 5 stars. We're worth it. You know we are. Leave us a comment, even if the comment is just "you guys are great." Help our egos a little bit.
Or we
It's
could,
great.
or we could take some bad reviews. We could.
Knock it off. We don't promote bad reviews on this podcast.
Well, they could give us bad
Publicity is
feedback.
Good publicity, but you calm down.
We could use some bad
If you
feedback.
want to give us 4 stars, we don't. No, we don't even like
We're not
constructive
promoting
criticism. If you guys want to give us something, reach out to us on our social media. That's where you would do that, not on the actual deal. Otherwise, on the podcast, give us 5 stars, leave us a good comment, or leave us, just how great we are, those types of things. So, thank you.
Just write down "we could be funnier," and that's it. All right.
Till next time, amigos.
Amigos gift cards. We're still giving that away. Bleh. Yeah, if you.
What about that
for-
Taco
Taco Bell,
Bell
we're-
gift card?
It's already
Gotta
gone.
send it.
That's already been
You
given
sent
away.
it?
No, not yet.
We're gonna-
But I got it for you,
It's happening.
Mr. Matson. You know I'm good for it. I got this thing. It's sitting right here.
We're gonna do another giveaway.
Well, we're gonna
Alright?
add to
So
it.
like, we'll sign up November. You might
You
get it.
see, we're gonna
Yes.
add another
November.
one.
All right. So
We're gonna do
Next-
something to make us have more publicity.
publicity.
Yeah.
Did you say Big Lebowski?
I know. This is all. He's talking. His little brain can't keep
He's
up.
tucking that.
He's tuckered out. Poor little guy. All right.
Publicity. No,
Big Lebowski.
I still said it wrong.
Coming around the bend.
We're all we better
Oh,
cut
my
all
goodness.
this out at this point.
No, we're not cutting any of this out. This is you messing up. I'm leaving it in.
Oh, Seth's the only one that can mess up, and
Yeah,
we
Seth,
can cut
Seth
all
messes
that
up,
out.
and I'm like,
My
oh.
voice isn't as deep as yours. They know who you are.
They better.
All right. Thank you,
wait.
guys. We definitely appreciate it. Within the next couple of weeks, the goal is to get Larson back over here. We are going to have fun
He
episode.
won't be able to mimic my voice though.
Got a
So,
couple good ideas now. We got
so it won't sound as good without me. So that's.
Well, I didn't say
Let's
that
hope you guys
I didn't
can
say
make
that
up
you
for
won't
that.
Be here. I've got 4 mics.
we
We'll
got
see
the
what we got going
argument.
on.
We got the argument with Matt about the McGraws and the Seguras, and we got
No, that's.
I think
it's
we're onto
Brooks's.
something with with the building of the FBI or just any history with law whatsoever. I think
Right.
me and you're
Well,
gonna be all
we'll
over
talk
that.
about all of
I
that
think
during
it's
the.
huge. I
Yeah,
think
that'll be. We'll do mob bosses
I
or
think we
something.
should take our time though. I think we should look at all of it because I think
Right.
I bet if
Well,
we
we've
look
got-
back at it, we can find 10 different episodes.
And
Well-
remember to watch Scarface.
No.
I love Scarface.
I don't care for that.
I
movie.
don't. It's not accurate though. I think, but we could probably find an episode or two in the history of it
What's
Of
the
when-
guy from
of
Home
when-
Alone? What's the guy from Home Alone?
of when Castro.
The mob
dumped-
boss guy that was in a lot of the mob boss movies.
I'm just saying. I think
Pesci.
there is some. There might be an episode there
Pesci.
when Castro did
Pesci.
dump all of his criminals over here. I think there is something we can find about that. It might
Oh,
be
yeah.
very
Are you kidding me?
interesting. I bet
Oh.
we can find a whole, at least an episode out of
Dude,
that.
we could do
There's
so
history
much stuff about the 30s.
I'm so big on history,
and-
and I think you are too. I think we can
Right.
find. A
No,
lot
I
of
think that'd be a
episodes.
lot of fun. So look forward to all of this stuff coming out. And then this will all be in our future here. It's going to be great. So
we have
tune
some
in.
ideas.
We're going to be putting things out. We're also going to try to put some new stuff out on our Patreon.
Yep.
And then our Apple subscriptions will be very similar
down.
to our Patreon. So check that out as well.
All right.
Jacob
next
has been
time.
obsessed with the all rights tonight. So, all right. Thank you guys. We definitely appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
Peace out. I think we're on to something.